thanks for joining tonight. We really appreciate it, guys. We're going to try not to drag this out too long, beyond getting things set up. So everybody can obviously hear and see me, seeing as you guys are responding to me. Quick rundown, we're going to go over HDS, using it with J2534 tools, which tools support it from Drew Technologies, how to get it, where to get it, what it costs, and then some little rundown of a few functions in HDS, some of the things that you're capable of doing if you're not familiar with the application already. And after that, we'll go into questions. So, a couple of new tools we actually have available now. We've got a new Mongoose cable. It's the Mongoose Pro Honda. It's specifically made for working with the HDS application as well as the Honda J2534 application for module reflashing on all modules that can be reflashed. So that's new, brand-specific tool. And then we have the new generation Cardac Plus, the Cardac Plus 2. The old Cardac Plus was over 10 years old. Some of the parts weren't being made anymore, so we had to make a new tool. So this is the new unit. This does completely support the HDS application as well as the Honda J2534 reflashing application. So both tools are available on our website. Or if you have a local distributor or DrewTech tools, they should have them available for you as well. All right, so a couple important things that we always talk about when it comes to doing diagnostics, module reflashing, module replacement, mobilizer functions through diagnostic software and tooling. You really need to make sure you have a good battery maintainer, because a dead battery can kill a module during a reflash. It can cause a diagnostic session to get stopped dead until that battery is brought back up to good voltage. And you say it can mess up a security function and possibly leave it half done and in a bad state. So always make sure you have a good battery maintainer. Different OEMs require different different amperages. Most probably your US stuff's probably going to run somewhere in the 55, 60 amp range. Probably same with a lot of the Asian manufacturers. You get into your European manufacturers, you can be looking up to 90 amps. That's what BMW requires. So look into this stuff before you jump into it. The 20-year-old battery charger that's been sitting there that you've been electrical taping the cables on, it's just not going to cut it on some of these reflashes on some of these high-end vehicles. So make sure you're taking a look into this. The OEMs will tell you what they require of their dealers, and say it may be a $300 DLS90 from Iota that gives you a 90 amp power or amperage that you can use, and I've reflashed BMWs with one of those tools, or you can go a lot higher end. There's nice Medtronic tools. We've got one of their GR8s sitting here. Very purpose-built, and mostly you find them in dealers. A lot of good tools out there at various price ranges. You're really going to want to look into that as you go. Looks like we got a couple questions. Dan's asking, does Cardac M support HDS? Yes, it does. Cardac M also does support the HDS application completely, and the Honda and Acura J2534 reflashing application. The other part of my little rant is service information. Make sure when you're working with OEM and diagnostic applications, OEM service information is written to go with that. It's written to walk you through that application specifically. Sometimes aftermarket supplied service information might be generalized. It may just say use diagnostic tool to set up module. OEM service information, it's going to usually walk you through step by step using that software and using it properly. So it's just something, it's generally not that expensive in a lot of cases, and it can make a job that was a little bit daunting feel a lot less troublesome. And just like a subscription cost, service information cost is an easy thing to toss onto a service ticket, honestly, or just pad it in there however your service writer wants to. But the costs are pretty low, and so I would recommend it. We're going to jump into the J2534 toolbox, get started from there, and go into looking at what's available from Honda. Right here, you see the J2534 toolbox. If you're here, you're probably familiar with it already. This software is free. It's available with all of our tools. If for some reason you've lost a disc or you've had one of our tools for a while, You can get it off of our downloads page. Go to DrewTech.com and click on downloads in the lower left. It's available right there. We're constantly updating this thing. There's always up-to-date information, like Ford put out their new version of FMP today. All right, so we're going to go ahead and choose our Diagnostics tab. And beyond our basic functionality, we've got now Acura and Honda listed. So we'll go ahead and click on the Honda information page. And hey, there we go. So capabilities. HDS gives you dealer level diagnostics, also does give you security and immobilizer functionality. I say, what's it good on? 96 and newer. Actually, with an adapter cable, mainly for reflashing, you can even update some of the 94 and 95 vehicles that had some pre-OBD2, OBD1 flashes available. Not real common, to put it lightly, but it may come up. Subscriptions. HDS is actually pretty cost effective. If you just got one vehicle in that you need to deal with, $10. I mean, that's not really that bad. Probably about an hour to set it up. Download and install, yeah, probably about an hour. If you're getting a lot of Honda vehicles in, if you're in an area that has a lot of those vehicles and you just haven't previously been able to service them, you can do a month for $130, or you can do a year for $1,500. All good options depending on what you're, for pretty much any business level. So if you've got setup issues with HDS, you can call Honda. If you need support using one of our tools with HDS, give us a buzz. Our phone number's right here. And we've got our devices listed that support the HDS software right here. We've got the Mongoose Pro Honda. We've got the Cardac M. We've got the Cardac Plus 2 family. So the Cardac Plus 2, the PassThru Pro 3, the Ease Universal Reprogrammer 2 Plus, the Launch J-Box 2, the M2K Wizard are all the different flavors that you could be working with, and you can fully support HDS and the Honda Acura J2534 software at this point. Any previous devices, they may not completely support the vehicles for all the required protocols for diagnostics and reflashing. A couple notes, not too ridiculous. I'm going to update this web page later today because I just noticed a change on their website. But so they require a laptop or desktop PC, 2 gigahertz or higher processor, at least a gig of RAM, 20 gigs free on your hard drive. Like I said, I got to change this, but actually they want Windows 7 or higher. They don't specifically say they support Windows 10, so I would stick to Windows 7 and Windows 8 for now. Pretty lenient on Internet Explorer 7.0, and if you've got Windows 7, I think you're stuck at least 10, if not 11 at this point. Couple important things. Don't mix HDS with the following applications. Ford module programming, Mazda module programming. Both of those are written by Teradyne, a lot, as is HDS. Those applications don't always play that well. I had FMP and HDS on the same computer. They weren't happy about it, so I wouldn't mix those up. Jag Land Rover IDS SDD, it doesn't play well with anybody, so don't try to mix them. And then Toyota TechStream and HDS actually cause each other a bunch of headache. I couldn't select devices in TechStream with the interfaces that are installed with HDS, the MVCI and the GNA 600, and actually HDS was crashing as long as TechStream was installed. So definitely don't mix those two. As nice as it would be to cover a lot of those two manufacturers in one laptop, it's not going to work out. So, alrighty, so kind of gone through this page. So the next step is going to be we're going to go to the Honda website. So right here under Honda, you can click the website link, and that will immediately open up your whatever set is your default browser. For Honda, I would use Internet Explorer. It's pretty much what they want. So there's all kinds of useful stuff on this page. If you've got a current subscription, you can log in here. Access to Service Express for service information. Pretty reasonable, $10 a day, $50 for 30 days, $350 for the year. The service information system is the Honda dealer website, so that's got a slightly different cost, pretty much double the costs. It also has some advanced search capabilities. Over here, we've got, let me scroll down and get all the way over. Oh, by the way, if you want to do immobilizer functionality for key codes and immobilizers, you've got to be a member of NASTF, their security professional registry. So if you got any questions about that, you can go ahead and jump over to the NASTF, NASTF.org, NASTF.org website, and you can look up all their information there about becoming a NASTF security professional. Alrighty, so on this side, what's available through Service Express versus Service Information System. Service Express has got repair information manuals, accessory information, parts catalogs, subject search, keyword search. Service Information System also has keyword and subject search combined, search by publications, and auto DTC search. That's a function used with HDS. Right below here we've got diagnostic tools. For a complete list of tools, click here. So what this does is this brings us to the tooling page. A couple handy things here. Right at the top of the page, you can put in the part number that you pulled out of the ECU, enter it right here, and hit submit, and it'll tell you if it's up to date or not. Kind of handy. Next step, we got HDS right here, and we've got the Honda J2534 control and Honda and Acura J2534 control module update application. Handy thing, this is free, so no subscription cost on this. It'll work with any SAE J2534 compliant device, and that also includes their dealer tool. If you want to download this, have it on, you can download it here. This link that says free download will open up another tab here. This will list what vehicles were flashable before 2008 or 2007. Everything that was 7 and newer, and all the modules are reflashable. Anything older than that, you're going to want to go ahead and check this beforehand. So there's more information here. You're going to want to read this over before you go ahead and jump in. There's some notes here. Certain vehicle control module systems require special procedures or hardware to be programmed properly. If you're working with a 13 Accord, an 11 to 13 Odyssey, or an 11 to 12 Odyssey Touring and Touring Elite, take a look at this before you do that. And then the very bottom link here, this is Honda J2534 software. That's the link to download the application and install it on your PC. Said there's no cost to it, so if you want to use it, go for it. The only thing is you're going to want to update this periodically because Honda doesn't keep their files on a server. All their flash files get downloaded with this application right to your PC. So if you've had the application on your computer for a year, you're probably missing some updates. So, all right, I'm going to jump back to Service Express now. We're going to go back to HDS. So functions, checks and clears DTCs, real-time data display, data capture, vehicle and system specific function tests, and through the control module programming doesn't go through HDS for J2534, that's just with the dealer tool. So, and here's one thing, this is why I said earlier, I hadn't noticed this till today, is HDS requires Windows 7 or higher. So from here on out, Windows 7 or higher if you want to support Honda vehicles. So here's your subscription fees like we went over earlier, $10 for a day, $133 for 30 days, 365 days, $1,547. No refunds on this, so make sure it's what you want. To purchase it, go ahead and click here. New tab. So you get a couple different options here for what you want to buy. First off, you can do a service repair or Service Express, HDS, or the key code and immobilizer information. So we're going to click on HDS. All right, so a couple notes. Microsoft Windows 7 or higher, HDS accounts cannot use existing Service Express or SIS username and or email address. And if you need to purchase diagnostic software with immobilizer functions, see the Security Professionals section below. We're just going to look at the basic one today. So we'll go to one-day subscription and we'll click on the little cart icon. That will add it to our cart. Now we've got to go ahead and log in. All right, So, welcome back. It's showing that I've got one day subscription added to my cart, so I can click Buy Now. It's going to go ahead and review my billing information, and then if I keep going any further, it's going to charge me money, and I already paid them. So, next step, terms and conditions, standard end user license agreement. Read it over. I agree. Payment. Confirm your payment information. Credit card. You can go through PayPal. They made it actually pretty easy. Last page, confirmation. That gives you your confirmation number, shows what you bought, and gives you a link to download it. Also, if you pay for it and say you did it on an office computer, you need to go set it up on another computer, you can log back in from that other PC, click on order history, and then you can go to your previous, or go to subscriptions, and go ahead and download what you need or access what you need depending on what you purchased. So we're not going to go through the install process because honestly it's pretty long and there's not a whole lot to it. A whole lot of clicking I accept and next and finish. So kind of figured that'd be boring to everybody because it's been boring to me every time I've done it. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize the browser. I'm going to go ahead and minimize the toolbox. So once you've installed HDS on your PC, you're going to have this round green icon with the HDS letters kind of stuffed into it, and it's just going to be labeled Diagnostic System. You're going to double click that to go ahead and start your application. We actually did some diagnostic work earlier and recorded it so that we could speed up the really slow parts as opposed to making you guys sit there and wait for 5 minutes while HDS determines which modules are on a car. So I'm going to go ahead and open up that video and we'll go ahead and narrate that for you. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and get started in HDS. We're going to go ahead and go to the settings menu and we're going to go ahead and select our device. Got a few different options here. We're going to go ahead and pick our Mongoose Pro Honda, and once we've done that we can go ahead and hit the car tab, F2. Okay, so now that I've selected the tool, I'm going to go ahead and connect to the car. So I'm going to click this little icon over here on the right with the red and yellow cars talking to each other. And we're going to go ahead and hit our check mark and let the system initialize. All right, we've got our mileage, model, year. I'm going to go ahead and log in over here real quick. This usually takes just a couple seconds. And now we'll go ahead and hit our check mark. And it's going to process the vehicle data. So now we're going to go ahead and do our DTC check. That's kind of the health checkup for these with the Honda system. So we're going to go ahead and start with that. We'll hit our check mark. Wait a few seconds while HDS catches up. Alrighty, so this is telling us it's going to execute the all DTC test. This is going to take some time. Do you still want to do this? Yes. Vehicle is in park, so we're good there. And we're going to go ahead and key the vehicle off now. And key it back on. And now it's going to go through and check for every possible module this vehicle could be equipped with. So this takes a good few minutes, even on CAN. It is because they're querying a lot of modules and waiting for responses till the maximum amount of time. Sometimes it waits for a bit. And then on the modules that it does talk to, it's got to get all the information and check for any DTCs. Okay, well, we've got our list of systems here, and luckily, no DTCs, which makes sense since we borrowed this from a dealer and this is part of their loaner fleet. So if you did have a DTC, what you could do is click on where it says no DTC found. If you had one, there'd be a DTC listed there. And you can click on the tool button over here, and that'll take you directly into that specific system. And then you can click on DTCs and freeze data and click the check mark, and that'll take you in, and this is where you would clear DTCs. In a minute I'm going to go ahead and pull the MAF and start the car and generate a DTC in the PGM FI system. But for now I just wanted to walk you through this. So if you had cleared a DTC, once that was done, you could back out using this little button here that looks like a guy walking out a door, and then hit the back arrow once. This will double check all the systems that were detected for DTCs, and it'll take you back to the all DTC menu. So from here we can look again, see all the systems found on the vehicle, and then we can go back to this main menu. And so now we're going to go into the Honda systems. So what I'll do first is I'm going to go ahead and pull that MAF and go ahead and start the car so we can generate the DTC, and then we'll go ahead and clear it afterwards. There we go. That's pulled, so now I'm going to go ahead and start the car real quick. Won't be too happy with me when I pull this one. Okay, usually that long without the MAF connected makes her unhappy, so we'll go ahead to the PGM system. Click on it, hit our check mark, choose DTCs, and okay. So what we've got here is we've got our MAF sensor voltage low and our IAT sensor voltage low, or high voltage. So there's the two codes generated by the MAF not being connected. So first things first, I'm going to go ahead and reconnect the MAF. Make sure it's secure. And now I'm going to go ahead and clear these DTCs. So I'm just going to make sure one of them is highlighted. Then I'm going to click this little button here that looks like an eraser by the word DTCs, or acronym DTCs, and hit that. So now it's going to tell me what all is done with the DTC, erasing the DTCs, which includes OBD status and readiness codes will be lost or reset. So we're going to go ahead and hit yes, and it's going to, I'm going to go hit the check mark. And we've cleared all the DTCs and freeze data. So now we can hit the check mark, we can go back, we see that there's no DTCs found, and we can bail out of this system by clicking the little button here with the guy leaving. And then we can click back, and we're back at our system selection menu. So what I was going to do now is go into the body and electrical system. And then because there's a whole lot of modules here, it takes a few seconds for this to pick up. So what we'll first do is we'll go into the into the lighting system, and we'll go ahead and kick on some of the marker lights, headlights, and just show that bidirectional control. Okay, so we'll go ahead and choose lighting from this menu and hit our check mark. And we'll go to functional tests. Alrighty, so we'll go ahead and go to headlight command. Alrighty, we got our lights on. Whenever we're done, hit enter or hit the check mark. Lights are off. Now we'll go ahead and we'll do our hazard flashers. So we'll go ahead and select that, hit our check mark, and now we're a hazard. All right, well, we're proven to be enough of a hazard. We'll go ahead and hit our check mark and call that good. So there's all kinds of different functions for testing interior and exterior here in the lighting section. So I'm going to go ahead and exit that section now, just a bit of an idea of it. Now, so we've got other options here. We can go to the gauges, door locks, keyless transmitters, wiper security. We'll jump over to the door locks real quick. Okay, we've got into the door lock system, so now I'm going to go ahead and just choose the lock all doors function. So that's a pretty basic one. We'll go ahead and hit the check mark here. All right, no one's getting in. Now we can do the unlock driver's side door, and we can do an unlock all doors. Pretty basic, easy function, but if you're testing an actuator or something, kind of handy. Alrighty, so we'll bail back out to the main system. So those are just some of the bidirectional functions that you can do in HDS. There are full level service functions that any dealer would be doing. Can't do those just due to some limitations of our studio. But just wanted to give you a quick overview of that. Also clearing DTC, taking a look at what's available to look at on the different systems. So I think at this point we're going to go ahead and call it good, and we will go to our next part. So at one point brought up, if you want to partition and do a multi-boot system on a computer, to only have one computer and multiple OEMs that may not play well together on that one piece of hardware, that's something you're welcome to do. It's not something we do any technical support for. That's something you definitely refer to your PC provider for support on. Oh, PassThru Pro 2. Unfortunately, that will not completely support the HDS function. It doesn't support some of the proprietary protocols, such as Diag-H, that Honda vehicles and Acura vehicles currently use. It'll cover probably roughly half or more, but but it will not do full support, Casey. Used ECUs, to my knowledge, used ECUs do not play well in Honda vehicles. That's a shaky one at best. And all of our previous attempts at it, working with customers, it has not gone well. Generally, we recommend that you stick with new control modules when it comes to Honda. I say HDS likes have an active internet connection because it wants you to log in. The J2534 software, the J2534 reflashing software, once it's downloaded and installed, can run without an internet connection. Gary, I would not mix the Honda reflashing software with FMP and vice versa. Unfortunately, that software again is all written by Teradyne, and Teradyne software does not play well with any other Teradyne software. Sometimes it'll work, sometimes it'll mess things up royally. Hopefully not in the middle of a flash, but I've had one or two people call with some pretty weird stories with mixed Teradyne software, so we always recommend to keep them separate from each other. You have to have an active subscription to use HDS. If your subscription has run out, it will ask you to log in, and when you log in, there's not an active subscription, it will not let you get into the vehicle at all. John, yeah, you're going to want to have an active internet connection after you download HDS to your PC as well. Casey, yeah, I generally would recommend not using Avaris for any J2534 software. It's just doesn't really have the horsepower of of a $200 or $300 laptop anymore, and you say you'll end that, and also you tie up a $10,000 scan tool doing reflashing. I'd say I would say keep the Avaris for diagnostics. Pick up a laptop or two for your J2534 stuff, or if you're going full bore with J2534, about 5 laptops. John, you're asking will the software not function at all if you're using a laptop that does not meet the requirements or has Windows 8 or XP? I have not ran HDS on an XP computer to say whether it's supported or not. Based on the giant red letters on their website, I would probably avoid it. Windows 8 should be fine, honestly. They are actually listing it as supported on one section of their website, but it seemed like that section may not have been completely updated. So I would say Windows 8 you should be fine on. XP I would probably stay away from at this point. The only downside of not meeting all the hardware requirements is the application may run slow. And also service functions, bidirectional controls, they may not perform the way you want them to because the PC's lagging behind too much. Carlos, you're asking, so if you install a new ECM, you can reflash it, but yeah, if you do a new PCM, I double check with service information, but in most cases, you're going to be relearning keys at that point. As long as you're a security professional, you can do that with HDS, but you do have to be registered with NASTF. Jonathan's asking, is there any benefit to purchasing an HDS versus using the card act you're already using? Jonathan, if you're referring to the MVCI, not that I can really say. I mean, the HDS software and your card act M will give you a dealer level solution for diagnostics. Kyle, full live data capability is there. PIDs, all that's available. It just wasn't something we were going into just due to the limitations of our studio, and as well as we didn't want to get too in depth. Okay, looks like I might have missed one. For the most part, is Acura very similar to Honda? Yes. There's no functional difference. HDS is the same whether you're working on an Acura or a Honda. The programming application is the same whether you're working on an Acura or a Honda. It's pretty much, think like Ford and Lincoln in FMP or IDS. They treat it the same. General Motors, they treat their whole family the same. Same thing with them. All right, and then separate subscriptions. Nope. One subscription covers them both. Honda makes it pretty easy for you guys to do a good job of servicing their cars in the aftermarket, which is pretty nice. Your best ones, Carlos, of those products, the Cardac M and the Cardac Plus 2 are the ones that are going to fully support HDS. The Cardac Plus doesn't have the capability to completely support Honda vehicles or Honda and Acura vehicles with HDS. Plus 2 and M both do support all the protocols needed. So this software is replacing the Honda MVCI interface. Well, Carlos, the MVCI has been the interface for the HDS for quite a while. So all you're really changing at this point is which interface you're using. You can use a J2534 tool as opposed to the MVCI interface, but you're still using HDS. The only functionality that was built into the MVCI was programming, but at this point, with some recent service campaigns, you're actually, one way or another, you have to use the PC-based flashing software. The Launch JBox 2 is part of the Cardac Plus 2 family. So that will completely support HDS and the reflashing application. Casey, you're asking about custom programming. Honestly, we only do support for OE J2534 applications. If there's somebody out there that's doing custom programming through J2534, most likely, but it's not something we've investigated, tested, or follow at this point. Alrighty, guys. Well, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap our evening up then. We're going to go ahead and shut off the cameras and go ahead and wrap up the webcast. So, again, thank you very much for joining us. Keep an eye on the toolbox. We will be posting up our next webcast, when and what time, and we'll have it on that front page just like we did this one. So keep an eye out, and we will see you guys next time. Thank you very much.